There comes a point when holding on hurts more than letting go. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally started caring about yourself. Letting him go doesn't mean you're bitter or heartless. It means you're done trying to convince someone to see your value. You're not walking away out of anger, you're walking away out of peace, because when you choose self-respect over attachment, you don't lose him, you find yourself again. Letting go isn't about proving a point or showing that you're stronger than him. It's about choosing peace over chaos, self-worth over confusion. You don't let him go because you want him to feel the pain of losing you. You let him go because you finally see how much pain you've been in trying to hold on. It's not punishment, it's protection. Protection from a cycle that's been draining you, from the emotional exhaustion of trying to fix something that's been breaking you piece by piece. You've reached the point where you understand that loving him doesn't mean sacrificing yourself. You can still care, still wish him well, but you no longer owe him your peace. When you let someone go out of self-respect, it's not a dramatic ending. It's quiet, graceful, and deeply powerful. It's the moment you stop explaining yourself, stop defending your emotions, and stop waiting for him to finally see what you've been showing all along. You've spent so much time trying to make him understand your love, hoping that one more conversation, one more chance, one more gesture would make things different. But what you've realized is that no amount of effort can make someone value you if they're not ready to. And continuing to try only keeps you stuck in a loop where your worth depends on his recognition. Letting go in this way becomes an act of self-love. It's you saying, I deserve to feel at peace in love, because love isn't supposed to make you question yourself. It's not supposed to make you shrink or doubt your value. The right love doesn't drain you, it grounds you. And if you've been living in a constant state of confusion, hoping he'll change, hoping he'll finally meet you where you are, that's not love anymore, that's survival. You've been trying to hold together something that keeps falling apart because you thought your effort could save it. But relationships don't work when one person is constantly pouring and the other is just receiving. When you finally walk away, you begin to realize that the peace you were craving wasn't hidden in his love. It was in your own decision to stop chasing what wasn't chasing you back. It's not about being cold or detached. It's about choosing yourself in a situation where you've been losing yourself. The people who truly love you won't make you beg for consistency. They won't keep you guessing about your place in their life. And if you've been begging for clarity, it's time to admit that what you wanted from him, he simply doesn't have to give. That realization hurts, but it also frees you. Letting him go out of self-respect means you stop trying to change his mind about you. You stop trying to prove that you were good enough. You recognize that your value doesn't increase or decrease based on how someone else sees it. It just is, and walking away is your way of protecting that value. You no longer settle for being an option when you've always deserved to be a priority. You no longer tolerate emotional breadcrumbs when you were ready to give the whole feast. You're not leaving because you stopped loving him. You're leaving because you finally love yourself too much to stay where love isn't reciprocated. The beauty of letting go this way is that it brings peace instead of bitterness. There's no need for revenge, no need for closure from him, no need to prove anything. You don't need to show him what he lost. He'll see it in your calm, in your glow, in the peace you find once he's no longer in control of your emotions. That's when he'll realize what he truly lost, not your love, but the version of you that loved him through everything. But by then, you'll be too at peace to look back, because letting go out of self-respect isn't about losing someone, it's about coming home to yourself. Anger can make you react, but self-respect makes you rise. When you let someone go out of anger, it's impulsive, it's about trying to prove a point, about showing them how much they hurt you, about making them feel what you felt. But when you let someone go out of self-respect, it's different. It's calm, it's centered, and it's final. You're not trying to make them hurt. You're choosing to stop hurting yourself. You've realized that your peace is worth more than being right, and your dignity is worth more than temporary satisfaction. Anger is loud and fiery, it burns quickly and leaves ashes, but self-respect is quiet and lasting. It doesn't need to shout to be powerful. When you're angry, you act from a place of pain. You want answers, closure, recognition. You want them to finally understand how deeply their actions affected you. But anger fades, and often it leaves behind regret. Because the truth is, when the fire of anger burns out, you're still left with the same question. Why did I keep accepting less than I deserved? Self-respect, on the other hand, answers that question for you. It reminds you that your energy, your love, and your time are sacred. And when someone continues to treat you in ways that make you question your worth, your silence and your distance become your answer. Letting go from self-respect means you're no longer trying to change them. You've accepted that love alone can't fix what they refuse to acknowledge. You've seen their patterns, their indifference, the inconsistency, and instead of fighting it, you've chosen to stop engaging with it. It's not that you don't care anymore, it's that you care about yourself more. You understand that staying in a situation that chips away at your confidence isn't loyalty, it's self-abandonment. You've learned that walking away doesn't mean you've lost. It means you've finally stopped losing yourself in someone else's story. This kind of letting go comes with maturity. You stop needing dramatic endings or final conversations. You stop replaying the past or fantasizing about what could have been. You accept that some people aren't meant to go further with you, and that's okay. Because not every love is meant to last, but every experience is meant to teach you. The lesson here is not that you should harden your heart, but that you should protect it. That you can love deeply without allowing someone to repeatedly cross your boundaries. That you can forgive them quietly and still never go back. When you move from anger to self-respect, something powerful happens. Your energy changes. You start to carry yourself differently. You no longer need to announce that you're done. Your actions speak for you. Your calm becomes your message. People feel when your energy shifts from needing to be understood to being at peace with not being. That kind of calm is rare, and it's what unsettles the person who once took you for granted. Because anger they can dismiss, but peace they can't argue with. They realize too late that you didn't leave to punish them. You left because you finally saw your worth clearly. In time, you'll look back and be grateful that you didn't let anger lead you. You'll see how preserving your dignity allowed you to heal faster. Because anger ties you to them, it keeps you emotionally connected through resentment. But self-respect frees you. It allows you to close the chapter without bitterness. And that's the most powerful kind of ending there is. You didn't slam the door. You simply stopped knocking. You didn't walk away to make a scene. You walked away to find your peace. And in doing so, you proved something important, that self-respect will always be louder, stronger, and more lasting than any words spoken in anger ever could be. There's a moment in every woman's story where she realizes that love, no matter how deep, cannot replace respect. It's when your heart finally understands what your mind has been whispering all along, that being treated like an option in someone's life is not love, it's dependency. That waiting for someone to value you the way you deserve is not patience, it's self-neglect. The most painful truth to accept is that sometimes the person you love is also the person holding you back from the peace you crave. And that's when letting go stops being a choice and becomes an act of self-protection. When you love someone, you naturally want to give. You want to show up, to be understanding, to fight for the connection. But when that giving becomes one, one-sided, when your effort becomes expected rather than appreciated, something inside you begins to break. You start to feel invisible. You question if you're asking for too much, when in reality, you're only asking for the bare minimum: consistency, respect, and emotional safety. That's when you know you're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong person. Letting go out of self-respect is not about proving that you don't care anymore. It's about proving that you care about your own well-being more than someone's potential. You see, we often get trapped in the version of someone we fell for, the one who was kind, attentive, and made us feel seen. But love shouldn't just exist in memories. It should be present in how someone shows up for you now. If you constantly have to remind someone of your worth, you've already lost the balance of love. Real love doesn't need convincing. It recognizes value without having to be told. When you choose to walk away from someone who doesn't value you, it's not coldness, it's clarity. You've simply outgrown the version of yourself that tolerated emotional crumbs. You've stopped believing that love should be earned through suffering. You've stopped mistaking attachment for loyalty. Because loving someone who doesn't meet you halfway doesn't make you strong. It makes you forget your own power. And power is what you reclaim when you decide you deserve more. It's not easy to walk away when your heart still cares. The mind can know the truth long before the heart accepts it. You'll have moments where you miss them, moments where you doubt your decision, moments where you almost reach out. But each time you hold back, each time you choose peace over chaos, you're building a new kind of strength, quiet, unshakable strength. You're teaching yourself that you don't need their validation to feel worthy. You don't need closure from them to heal. You just need to trust yourself enough to walk towards something healthier, even if that something is solitude for a while. One day you'll look back and realize that letting go wasn't the end. It was the beginning of your healing. Because what you released wasn't love, it was the illusion of it. You'll see how freeing yourself from someone who couldn't see your worth gave you space to become the person you were always meant to be. And the irony, the moment you stopped chasing their attention was the moment they finally realized what they lost. But by then, it won't matter anymore, because you'll have found something far greater than their love. You'll have found your peace, your confidence, your self-respect. You'll understand that you didn't let go because you stopped caring. You let go because you started valuing yourself. And that is what true self-love looks like, not arrogance, not indifference, but the quiet decision to never again stay where your heart is undervalued. Healing doesn't happen the moment you walk away. It begins when you stop looking back. It's when you finally stop checking their profile, stop replaying old messages, stop trying to understand why things went the way they did. Because healing isn't about finding answers, it's about finding peace with not having them. When you let someone go out of self-respect, your focus shifts from trying to fix what's broken to rebuilding yourself. It's no longer about them or what they did, it's about who you're becoming without them. That shift is where real transformation begins. In the beginning, it feels empty. You're used to their presence, their texts, their energy, the comfort of their familiar chaos. Even when they hurt you, there was still a strange sense of connection. Letting go leaves a silence that feels unbearable at first. You'll want to fill it with distractions, conversations, or new people, but the truth is that silence is sacred. It's where healing lives. It's where you meet yourself again, not the version who was constantly anxious or waiting for validation, but the one who existed before all the pain. When you start healing, you begin to see how much of yourself you gave away just to be loved. You start noticing the parts of you that dimmed just to fit into someone else's comfort zone. And it hurts to realize how long you tried to prove your worth to someone who never truly saw it. But with that pain comes freedom, because awareness is the beginning of liberation. You start to recognize that love should never require you to lose yourself, that real love doesn't silence your needs, it honors them. Healing also teaches you to stop romanticizing potential. You stop remembering only the good moments and start seeing the whole picture, the inconsistency, the confusion, the way you were made to feel small. It's not about vilifying them, but about being honest with yourself. You can miss someone and still know they weren't right for you. You can love someone and still know you deserve better. Healing is when those two truths can coexist without tearing you apart. The beauty of healing out of self-respect is that it's not about revenge, indifference, or pretending you don't care. It's about reclaiming your emotional energy. It's realizing that you don't need closure from someone who was never capable of giving it. Closure isn't something they hand you. It's something you create by deciding the story ends here. And every time you resist the urge to reach out, every time you choose silence instead of reaction, you're reinforcing a new narrative, one where you are the one in control of your peace. Over time, you'll notice the weight lifting. The memories will still come, but they won't sting the same way. You'll stop wondering if they miss you and start focusing on whether you feel proud of the person you're becoming. You'll realize that healing isn't forgetting. It's remembering without the pain. It's being able to think of them and still smile, not because you want them back, but because you've made peace with the lesson they brought. And that's when you'll understand the power of letting go with self-respect. It's not about proving your strength to anyone else. It's about reclaiming your energy, your calm, and your worth. You no longer need to explain your decision, because you know in your heart that walking away was the kindest thing you could do for yourself. Healing doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you stop needing what hurt you. It's when love for yourself finally becomes stronger than your attachment to them. And that, more than anything, is what true freedom feels like. The most powerful version of you isn't the one who fights to be understood. It's the one who chooses peace over chaos. Letting someone go out of self-respect means you've stopped begging for clarity from people who thrive on confusion. You've stopped trying to explain your worth to someone who's already shown they can't see it. Instead of proving, you've started protecting. That's a massive shift, because when you begin to protect your peace, everything about you changes. You become more selective with your time, more intentional with your energy, and more aligned with people who actually make you feel safe to be yourself. You realize that not every connection deserves access to your emotions. Some people were meant to be lessons, not lifetimes. They came into your life to teach you what love isn't, so that when real love arrives, you can recognize it without confusion. And the only way you can truly be ready for that is by creating space, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. When you hold on to someone who keeps taking from you without giving back, you block that space. You fill your heart with waiting instead of healing. But when you finally decide to let go, not because you stopped loving, but because you started honoring your worth, you open the door to something better, peace that doesn't depend on another person's behavior. Protecting your peace means you stop chasing closure. You stop needing explanations for why they changed, why they pulled away, or why they couldn't give you the love you gave them. You stop trying to rewrite the story in your favor, because closure doesn't come from answers, it comes from acceptance. It's that quiet moment where you say to yourself, they were never going to give me what I needed, and that's okay. You stop arguing with reality and instead you start trusting it. The truth hurts at first, but it also sets you free. And as you begin protecting your peace, your boundaries naturally strengthen. You no longer allow people back just because they say they've changed. You watch how they show up instead. You no longer let guilt pull you into conversations that drain you. You no longer justify someone's behavior just because you have history with them. You start seeing that peace isn't found by controlling others. It's created by controlling what you allow. You become intentional about who gets to sit at your emotional table. Not everyone who wants access deserves it. This new version of you starts to feel lighter. You're no longer walking around with the emotional weight of disappointment. You're no longer depending on external validation to feel okay. You wake up feeling calmer, more grounded, more focused on what's ahead instead of what's behind. That's the beauty of choosing self-respect. It doesn't just heal your heart, it redefines your standards. You stop settling for half love or conditional attention. You start craving peace more than passion, consistency more than chaos. And in doing so, you raise your energy so high that the kind of love that once drained you can no longer reach you. Eventually, you realize that the person you let go of wasn't the loss, the version of you that tolerated pain was. You've evolved past the need to be chosen by someone else because you've finally chosen yourself. You've learned that peace isn't the absence of love, it's the presence of self-worth. And once you've experienced that kind of peace, you'll never trade it for temporary affection again. That's when you become truly untouchable, not because you've closed your heart, but because you've finally guarded it with the strength and clarity it deserves. When you finally let go of someone out of self-respect, the greatest thing you gain isn't distance, it's perspective. You start to see the relationship for what it really was, not what you wished it could have been. You begin to understand how much energy you poured into trying to make something work that was never meant to align. And that clarity changes everything, because what once felt like a loss now feels like release. You realize you weren't losing love, you were losing confusion. You weren't walking away from something solid, you were freeing yourself from something that kept you small. Perspective brings peace. It helps you understand that letting someone go doesn't erase the love that existed. It just honors the truth that love alone isn't enough. You can care deeply for someone and still recognize that their presence disrupts your growth. You can wish them well and still choose not to allow them back into your life. That's not bitterness, that's wisdom. It's emotional maturity to say, I still care about you, but I care about myself too much to keep breaking my own heart. That's the kind of growth that only comes after you've been through the cycle of holding on too long and finally realizing that peace is the prize, not their attention. Perspective also reveals how much you've grown. You start to notice the red flags you used to ignore, the patterns you used to justify, and the way you used to shrink yourself to keep the peace. You see how your silence once allowed disrespect, and how your compassion was often mistaken for permission. But now, you've learned that boundaries don't make you cold, they make you clear. You don't have to explain your standards to people who are committed to misunderstanding them. You no longer chase closure because you understand that people who valued you wouldn't have left you guessing in the first place. That understanding isn't born from anger, it's born from peace. This new clarity also brings a different kind of confidence. The kind that doesn't come from attention or validation, but from alignment. You start walking differently because you're no longer walking in emotional debt. You stop needing someone to tell you that you're worthy. You already know you are. You no longer look for love to complete you. You look for it to complement you. And that's the kind of energy that changes what you attract. Because when you stop chasing, you start magnetizing. When you stop seeking approval, you start radiating self-assurance. People can feel that shift. It's quiet, but undeniable. In that new space of perspective, forgiveness becomes easier too, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. You stop replaying every painful memory and start seeing the relationship as part of your evolution. You begin to thank the experience not for the pain, but for the lesson, because without it, You might never have learned how powerful you truly are. You might never have realized that the person you were becoming needed the strength that only heartbreak could build. That's the hidden gift in letting go. It refines you, not defines you. Eventually, you reach a place where you can think of them without emotion. You can remember the story without reliving the pain. And in that moment, you'll know you've healed, not because you've forgotten, but because you've forgiven yourself for staying as long as you did. You'll understand that you didn't fail, you learned, you didn't lose, you grew. And as you move forward, your peace becomes your proof that you didn't need revenge, validation, or closure. All you ever needed was the strength to choose yourself, and that's exactly what you did. In the end, letting him go out of self-respect isn't about proving anything to him. It's about proving everything to yourself. It's choosing peace over pain, clarity over confusion, and dignity over desperation. You're not walking away because you stopped loving. You're walking away because you finally remembered who you are. And when you do that, when you choose yourself without anger, without noise, without explanation, that's when you truly win. Because the most unforgettable goodbye is the one said in silence, with grace, and with self-respect.